on Nerd Talk.
The issue with Avatar: The Last Airbender 2, where they're like, you can't say it's a summer, or like you can't say it's like 9 months that he does all this because the kids
Mhm.
grew up.
So
The
much.
next season probably won't be out till next year,
Yeah.
and so it's going to be like 3 years between what happened in the first season and this and that changed the story, and that's fine to change it for
Hmm.
live action, but keep the feel, keep the joy that it had. I think is what's most important, and
Hmm.
keep the lessons that it had. That's also important too. And sometimes that can be hit or miss if people are trying to change things too much. So hopefully they stick close to the books, because it's a good story already. Uh,
Yeah, I'd like to see characters that were
they
left
didn't really
out.
bring up a lot.
Like the one ghost that everyone likes in the book.
The Poltergeist Peeves.
Yeah, and I hope like they add some of those that they left out in the movies and they
Oh
put them
yeah,
in. That
they
would be
definitely need
nice.
Peeves because in the game Hogwarts Legacy, he's littered throughout that thing, and it's funny just to be able to see him all the time since they omitted him in the movies. But yeah, it would be definitely interesting to see more about the other kids, the other houses, because they stonewall Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw for sure. Hey nerds, welcome to Nerd Talk with Silver and Ray, where we chat about your favorite topics on TV, movies, gaming, comics, and more. I'm Silver.
And I'm Ray.
Today we're going to talk about Star Wars. We're going to focus in here. I don't know that much about it, so hopefully I'll learn a little bit.
Yes. I mean, my name is Ray. So
And that's
so
for a reason.
and so what no, see. Let
Yes, explain to the people.
this is a sore subject, Silver. Okay, so I was Ray first. Um, she stole my name, and her name is a whole nother topic of that,
Contention.
yes, the Star Wars fan was always upset about. Um, but actually, her name being Ray is actually what really segmented me into like really wanting to learn more about Star Wars. Because, see, I'm one of those growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch Star Wars because, Star Wars is for boys. And, you can't, if I'm a girl, I'm not allowed to watch boy stuff. My mom was very strict about that. I did watch A New Hope on, it would come on television. That movie's been around since 77. So, um, in the 80s, it did come on TV, not like often, but
Mm,
anytime it did, I would sneak it. So I never saw it in its like from beginning to end without commercial interruption
sure.
or, oh, look, it's in the middle of the movie, and I would just watch it. Um, and I always thought that the science, if you will, like behind Star Wars was so interesting, how they could jump to light speed and oh, everything, the science part of it.
Yeah.
I just, that was really what grabbed my interest to begin with. I like sci-fi a lot and I like time travel. I was always allowed to watch Doctor Who, which technically I feel like would be a boy show too, but my mom didn't think so because it was on PBS.
Oh,
So I was
okay.
allowed to watch that one. Um, so yeah, I thought that the space travel part of Star Wars was really interesting. How it worked, just the way the spaceships looked,
Okay.
the aesthetic of it. I didn't really understand the story too much growing up, just because, like I said, I was very limited on what I was allowed to watch.
Uh-huh.
Um, Star Tours in and back in the day, it was MGM Studios, was a big, that was my big hit of Star Wars growing up. Outside of when I would sneak and watch the movies.
Is
Um,
that
is it
what the Body Wars were?
uh Star
No,
Tours?
you're talking about MGM.
Yeah, no,
That.
Star Tours was always an MGM. It's still there now.
Okay.
They've updated it now to include the newer movies and the newer franchises.
Okay.
Um,
That's where
but
you got in the thing though,
it's
like Body Wars.
exactly like that. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because I'm
Except
just
you
mixing them up.
in Body Wars, you would get shrunken down and had to get the splinter out of the person.
Yeah.
In this one, you're, helping R2D2 and
Oh yeah,
C3PO.
I didn't get it. I probably didn't even get on that because like you were interested in space, I was the opposite. I'm like I hate space
Oh,
movies,
yeah,
so that's why I didn't watch them because I was like this is a space movie.
Yeah, and I, I thought since I like space and one of my mom's friends that used to watch me a lot, she was a big Star Trek person.
Mhm.
So I was like, well, growing up when I was like 5 years old, when I thought this before everyone comes after me, I was like, Star Trek and Star Wars must be like the same thing.
Oh no.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Um, and I felt like there was so much Star Trek that I couldn't catch up.
Mm,
Like, again, I didn't have full access to it. So I was like, this is too much. I can't get into it.
sure.
So I never did. Even to this day, I've never gotten into it. Um, but Star Wars at the time, growing up, was just three movies. And then episode one came out
Mhm.
when I was a teenager. And I was like, well, I can go see this.
Mhm.
I babysit. I have my own money now.
Right.
I don't need permission. And I had an adult boyfriend. So I was like, well, let's go watch Star Wars.
Oh
Um,
no.
my cousin, another friend, fell asleep. And my boyfriend at the time was like, no, I want to go buy some antique records and the store closes soon. So we walked out of episode one after paying for the tickets.
Oh
I
no.
pretended like I was super cool and I was like, yeah, I'm okay with leaving. Yeah, let's just leave. I was so sad.
Oh
I did
no.
not want to leave. I thought I loved it. I was like, yeah, this is everything. I had to pretend like I didn't like it because my friends didn't like it. I
Mhm.
was a teenager, so I thought that was cool. I was not. I was wrong. So
Right.
then episode two came out
Mhm.
and Hayden Christensen was in it.
Mhm.
And I, even since then, I was like, oh man, he's cute. This is going to be great. Um, Star Wars fans hate Star Wars. And that
Oh.
movie was, at the time, in my opinion, I thought, again, what little I was able to see of it, I was like, this is great. Nope, everyone was so mad about it. So then fast forward many years later, um, you actually
Me?
bought Alex a Lego Star Wars set because she asked for it for Christmas.
Okay.
I don't even know how she knew that it existed, but she asked for it for Christmas and you got it for her.
Internet sees.
Internet. And it was episode what was one of the first, I'm not sure exactly if it was episode one, two, or three, but it was from one of those.
Mhm.
And it had Jingle Fett in it. And he's a Mandalorian. He's
Okay.
not the Mandalorian, but he's a Mandalorian.
I got you.
Technically he is
Which
the
I don't,
Mandalorian because he was first.
because I don't know what Mandalorians are.
Oh my god.
But
I can't.
I was gonna ask you which episode is the New Hope.
So it starts backwards. So the first movie was four, I believe. So because episodes one, two, and three came out in the 90s,
Mhm.
and then episode four, five, and six came out in the 70s and the 80s. So you start the story in the middle
I see.
because George Lucas liked that book the best and liked that part of the story. So that's where he branched the franchise from because that's where he thought he
Yeah,
liked it.
he was most interested in that part.
Yeah, and he didn't think it was going to be the mega success that it was. So
Mm.
he was like, I'm going to do this part of the story because this is the story I like.
All right,
And
in
then
case he
it,
could never do anymore.
because he assumed he was never going to do anymore. Yeah. So um, that's why it starts four, five, six. And then one, two, three came later. And then seven, eight, nine came even after that. So it's not in order, but
Okay.
that's fine. Um, and you can, so purists will tell you to watch it the way it was released.
Hmm.
I I have watched it both ways now in, one, two, three order or release order. I like it both ways.
Sure.
Like I can't the thing is I just like Star Wars.
Hmm.
So it doesn't really matter. Like even when I was a little kid and I was catching like the last 5 minutes of A New Hope, I was like I was like, oh my God, it's so good. And then, quick, if I hear my mom coming, I have to change the channel. But like
Right.
that was like it didn't matter to me, and I'm still that way now. Just plop on something Star Wars. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna be happy
Sure.
watching it. I'm not
From
gonna
any
complain.
point in
From
the
any
movie.
point, I don't care. Just put it on. I'm gonna like it. Um, so yeah, that was how I grew up with it. And then I never saw episode three. So I saw parts of one in the theater. Saw parts of two. I think it came on television or something. Gave up. I was like, I'm just not gonna be a Star Wars fan. It's just not for me. It's not gonna happen. So I never caught three.
Sure.
which is a shame because that's actually it's probably one of my favorites. It just has a lot of iconic lines in it, and I'm like, how could I have missed that when it first came out? And then, like I said, you got Alex technically really into Star Wars because Michael mentioned
It's
Jingle
my
Fit.
fault.
It's technically your fault. You bought her the first bit of it into like her life. Michael mentioned it to her, and
Hmm.
they were playing the Lego Star Wars game. And I mean, I think she was too little to play it at the time, but she would watch him play.
Sure.
And then that's what it is. She would watch Michael play the game. She asked you for the actual Lego set,
Hmm.
and you got it for her for Christmas.
Okay.
And then from there, she just was like, yes, Jango Fett all the time.
Obsessed.
Yeah, so we still used to have Star Wars weekends back then, which was great. I miss Star Wars weekends. So we would take her to every Star Wars weekend. I made her a little Jango Fett costume.
Okay, what is Star Wars weekend?
Oh
Before you
my
move
God.
on.
So back to Disney, back to MGM when it was still called MGM. I think
Okay.
maybe Hollywood it became Hollywood Studios in the midst of this,
Hmm.
but they used to have Star Wars weekends. It was just on the weekends they would have some of the Star Wars actors. Mark Hamill was there a few years. Yeah, like the big names. I want to say Peter Mayhew was there. I know I've met him before, but I'm not sure if it was I met him at MegaCon. Um, Totally different thing. Um, my BFF Ray Park was there. That's when we first met
Hmm.
back in 2011. He actually reminded me of the year. I've forgotten the year. He remembered, and I didn't. Um, so we would take her there, and they would have Star Wars characters come out that you don't typically see. Like Darth Vader is always out because he's the main character,
Sure.
um, and even still Darth Vader's always out. But during Star Wars weekends, you would have like Jango Fett, he's a very rare character, even still considering the massive success of the Mandalorian.
Hmm.
Jango Fett's not really mentioned because it's not in that timeline. Because again, Star Wars timelines, you have to really focus to understand them. Um, but I made her a little costume, a little Jango Fett costume, jetpack, everything. I bought the helmet off of like eBay because Amazon wasn't even really a big
Sure.
thing back then when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
first bought it for her. And she wore that outfit, I mean, till it didn't fit her no more. And we keep joking around now that we're big time cosplayers. We're gonna remake her that one, and I have a friend who actually 3D printed the armor
Hmm.
for her and everything, and we've just not we she doesn't have the same dedication she did as a child.
Sure.
She doesn't like wearing helmets
She
and
has
stuff.
lots of fandoms
Yeah,
now.
and she doesn't like really wearing stuff on her face like helmets and
Sure.
stuff, and that's the biggest thing with the Mandalorians. Like, is their helmets.
Right.
So that's the only reason I haven't gone forward with finishing it for her. But anyway, I digress. Um, she was a big hit with Jango Fett at the park. Every year he would wait for her. Every year she would wait for him. Um, I have a picture, insert photo here. I have a picture of her waiting for him like to come out,
Hmm.
and he knew already that she was waiting for him. I guess um, the photographer, um, who is friends with Michael, because Michael was a photographer at Disney, told him, hey, Jingle Fett, little Jingle Fett's waiting for you. And so he came out all extra, and she's there all extra, and he took her and like walked her around the whole Star Wars weekends. Like other characters are coming up to them, and he's like pretending to blast them. And that's what started it. That's why we're Star Wars fans today, because Alex was a Mandalorian fan, because Michael was a Mandalorian fan.
Hmm.
And then when November 12th, 2019,
Wow.
that was, listen, listen.
Remember the day?
That's the day that the Mandalorian premiered. One of my coworkers at the time was like, "Hey, you like Star Wars? Are you gonna watch The Mandalorian?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, my daughter's a Mandalorian fan, so we're gonna watch it." Let me tell you, the reason I remember that day
Hmm.
is because that was the day we were introduced to Baby Yoda. Of course, his name is Grogu, but we didn't know that yet. We didn't know anything about him. That the first episode, he's in it for like 5 seconds, and just when I saw his little face peek out of that blanket,
You fell in love.
I didn't even know Pedro Pascal was the Mandalorian yet, and I already loved Pedro Pascal. I didn't even pay attention because I was like, it's just another Star Wars thing. I had already, in my heart, I had given up being a Star Wars fan, remember?
Mhm.
That's where we were in my timeline. So I was like, whatever, I'm gonna watch it because Alex likes Mandalorians. Yeah. Um,
That's what I was gonna say because I feel like you didn't talk about it when we were in high school and stuff. You didn't really mention Star Wars
he's
a
always
bunch,
nearby.
so I was like, I don't think you've been a Star Wars super fan the whole time.
No, I wasn't allowed to be a Star Wars fan. I was still a minor in high school, and I really did feel like I had given up because I was like, it's too late in the game. There's already been 6 movies I'm not caught up
It's
on.
never too late.
I want to say Rebels. I don't know the exact year of Rebels. The one Dave Filoni was part of.
Uh-huh.
Had probably had already started coming out, and then Clone Wars, and there was a lot of cartoons that were like in the middle of the movies, and I was
Mhm.
like, it's too much to catch up. I kind of felt like it had gone the way of Star Trek, where I was like, it sounds great. I definitely feel like I'm gonna like it because I know I like what I've seen so far, but it's too much. I can't catch up. But then when Michael and Alex kind of liked it, and they were pretty casual about it, um, but we started going to Star Wars weekends more because Alex really liked seeing the characters. That's when I was like, maybe I can't hold this back anymore. And then, like I said, once The Mandalorian came out, I was so hooked on that show. I'm still hooked on that show.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, I got to give it the full go. I can't just be one of those people that only likes that one part. I, I'm not that. I have to hyper obsess about the whole
Yeah,
fandom,
there's a whole universe
the
to
whole universe. So
discover.
then I was like, we're gonna watch the movies, and like I said, the Daisy or Ray movies came out. We watched those in theater, but before that, I watched the other 6 just so that as the other movies came out, and now that all 9 movies are out, like I said, I've watched them in both orders. I have a chart somewhere that's the full Star Wars lineup, all the way technically from the beginning, which is Accolade, because that's like way before all of this, and
Yeah,
all the way down to like everything, like the most current stuff with Mandalorian. But yeah, I've watched it. Now I've watched it all, and
that's good. And
I'm
you love it.
yeah, and like I said, you can throw me in the middle of any of it, and I'm just gonna be like, yes, I'm gonna watch this, and I like this. Um, when Galaxy's Edge came out, um, I actually didn't get to go for the first few years. Michael and Alex went for the preview, and I
Mhm.
didn't. I was like, I'm gonna sit back. I'm not gonna go. Um, but the day Mando came out, the first day he came out, I was there the
I'll
next
be
day. I was
there.
like, yeah, I'm going. I didn't even have tickets. I wasn't working there at the time, and I was like, I don't care. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna go. And I got into the park, and I was like, yes. And I have an annual pass now because
Must go.
there's just days where you just
You want to jump into the
I'm just
universe?
gonna wake up and I want some of that popcorn and I want to sit there and watch a Mandalorian set. I don't even necessarily engage with them. I just watch Mando and Grogu and
Mhm.
other people meeting them. Um, and that's just I love it so I just love it so much. Like I just everything about it. What is it that I know you say you don't know much about Star Wars, but like what is it that you would want to know about Star Wars? Like the
What
storyline
would I
or
want to know?
yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to start in regards to the storyline. People always tell me now when I was like, I didn't watch them because I didn't like space movies. And they're like, well, it's not really in space that much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, they are in space and there's ships and they go to other planets.
Yeah.
So it's in space. Don't tell me it's not in space. So I was very stubborn against it. But I don't have any issue with it now, but
Mhm.
like you said, I don't feel like it's too late, but I'm like, I just don't have any interest in, maybe one day I will, but what are the magic systems? I know there's the force at least.
Yes. I mean, the Force is a big part of it. It changes throughout the 9 movies. Again, I feel like yes, New Hope, the ones where it started in the 70s,
Hmm.
um, they had a basic storyline and it's evolved so much. Even though technically like I guess spoiler alert, Rey and Grogu can both force heal.
Okay.
Um, it,
And that's not common.
um, it, but that's a newer, since that's a newer movie.
Mm-hmm.
But timelines wise, this should have been able to happen throughout the whole series.
Sure.
But in the 70s and 80s, that didn't exist. So technically, even though the Ray movies is now, it's a whole technology they never use. That ice machine. So it's my fault. I love ice. So anyway, yes. It's just a whole brand new thing. Um, that that they introduced. And I actually
Sure.
think I like how they did it because the movie where Ray uses the force healing first,
Mm-hmm.
it it lined up perfectly when Grogu did it for the first time. Like, even though they're completely different timelines and
Mm-hmm.
they don't interact, they released this knowledge to us as the fans and the audience at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, like I right now I can't remember if it was Grogu who did it first or Ray who did it first, but it was done like in the same week.
Mm-hmm.
The movie released and the episode released, and they both did it. And I remember like I was in the theater and I was like, like this is so cool. Um, but yeah, I love that. I love that kind of stuff about it where if you watch the originals first, which is I do it is my preferred method to watch it as it was
Mm-hmm.
released, not so much as the numbers. It's just you see something from the 70s, you know it's from the 70s.
Sure.
And you see something from today and you know it's from today. But I just love that too because it jumps around on you. Doctor Who's a lot like that too. So I
Yeah.
guess I got that. I was indoctrinated to that concept because I watched Doctor Who as a
Yeah,
child too.
so many movies and stuff have prequels and or whatever, like pre-prequels,
Yeah.
so it's not a big deal. And if you're
Hmm.
really interested in the story and the lore and all that, that stuff will just be interesting to you because, there's always more to learn. There's always something that's just gonna be make it more beloved to you,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. And I did, like I said, so I didn't get really big into it until like The Mandalorian, but the Force Awakens, I believe, is the first of the new movies.
Mm-hmm.
That was like in 2015. So I did, and we watched those in theater, all three of those. And like I said, I thought Daisy was great. I thought Adam was great. I know a lot of people don't like Kylo Ren because they prefer Darth Vader. Listen, like I'll say it again and again. Star Wars fans love to hate, but it's just it's like a rehashing of a new tale, like of the same tale in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but in a new format. You
Sure.
know, Kylo Ren's crazier. He's he has stronger force powers. He does everything is more than it
Mm-hmm.
was in the past. He's not limited as much as Darth Vader because Darth Vader's technically sick because he was, if you watch episode 3 when I don't know if you know this, but
I
so
don't.
okay. So Tom Riddle is Anakin Skywalker. I'm sorry, it is. I'm
Okay.
sorry, JK, you stole it. Um, so imagine, he goes through that whole transformation. He turns into uh Voldemort, right? And
Uh-huh.
he changes
Yeah.
in his thing and he has to be reborn and birthed or whatever. So kind of like the same thing happens with Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
So Anakin technically should have died, but they saved him right at the end, and that's when he gets turned into Darth Vader. But in being turned into Darth Vader, he still has those limitations from how he almost died. Like his limbs were burned off,
Mm.
so he was like a burnt marshmallow. He was done,
Right.
and they rescued him right at that moment. Um, by day, I mean Grandpa. I mean Palpatine. That's a whole nother Star Wars thing. I'll explain
That's
that joke to you
another
later.
joke, yes. I don't know what you're talking about.
But anyway, so yeah, Palpatine turns him into Darth Vader, and you know, people say that he turned him into Darth Vader in a way that kept him in pain, so it kept him submissive to his control,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, because Palpatine's like the bad guy. He's the one that pushes Anakin and then Darth Vader to be the bad guy. And
Sure.
then you know from it just goes on from there. I don't like the story's all over the place. I don't know if you want me to tell you the whole story or not.
You can tell me if you
Uh,
want
but
to.
but yeah, that's like that's Darth Vader's weakness is that he was sick essentially or hurt when he
Yeah,
turned into
he's
the
not
bad guy.
in full
Where
power and
yeah,
full
whereas Kylo
health.
Ren didn't have that limitation of a severe near death injury. So I feel like his force
And trauma,
powers,
I'm sure.
yeah, less trauma. They do go into trauma a little bit with him, but I mean, I think his trauma is way less than everything that Darth Vader went through.
Well,
Um,
that's what I meant, Darth Vader.
yeah, Darth Vader's trauma is way worse than anything. But Kylo Ren's such a that's what people don't like about him because he's like a little spoiled brat. He's like whining and screaming, and I'm like, it's the same. It's a mentality of like a teenager that was brought in privilege, you know.
Sure.
I mean, his mom is Princess Leia, so he has that strength. His dad is Han Solo, you know, which I believe Han Solo has some force sensitivities. Like I think he might not be able to wield it because he chose not to learn it, but
Hmm.
I think he can because he understands droids and he understands Chewbacca. And I'm like, Han,
Okay,
what are
and
you
where
not
does
telling us?
this force come from?
The Force? Oh, midichlorians. So okay, I'm gonna feel like a like a non nerd here, um, but I don't know the official answer. I'm sure there is many different official answers.
Okay.
Um, but examples like you notice people some people do have it and some people don't. So
Hmm.
they say like Grogu who has like a high I want to say the word is midichlorian and I feel bad if it's the wrong word. Please don't come at me.
Come
And
at us in the comments.
yes, come at us and correct me in the comments. Um, but like they were able to harness it from him or they're trying to harness it from him
Hmm.
in one of the first episodes of the Mandalorian. So it makes you feel like maybe they can take it and make it,
Hmm.
but true force holders in my opinion are just it's kind of like something you're born with.
Sure.
And like Ray for example, she didn't really know she had it until she was forced to use it.
Hmm.
um Kylo kind of pushed it out of her because I feel like he sensed that she had it and she didn't know. So he was attacking her and she was able to use it. Um, and a lot of it just it happens like that. You don't realize you have it until whoa, you have it. They kind of mention that a lot in Accolade too, which I know a lot of Star Wars fans don't like that show.
Hmm.
But I feel like they really go deeper into it because that was like I want to say almost 100 years before the full story starts. So you're really learning more about like the Force when there was a lot of Jedi's allowed to use it
Yeah.
versus once Anakin kills them all.
Wow.
Yeah, he brought balance to the Force. He made it so that there was one and one. He did what he was supposed to do, whether
Okay.
it makes him look good or not. He brought balance by killing everyone.
Okay.
But yes, the Force to me is just you're born with it. Or maybe it was Maybelline, but I think I think you're born with it. It sounds like they are trying to harness it and create it and make weapons out of it. I know that's why they kidnapped Grogu in the beginning, but
I mean, as beings do, are they
mhm.
people? As people do,
What do you mean, like Force holders?
like just in the universe, is it people? I know there's other things besides people.
Yeah, I mean other creatures or other aliens and stuff.
Yeah,
They have it too. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They.
But like they say on Lord of the Rings, like
Mhm.
men are easily corrupted. So
Yes, and that's exactly what happens to Anakin. Yes, 100%. Yes, for
okay.
sure. And the same with like lightsabers and such. Like some people, I feel like you have to learn how to wield it.
Hmm.
Versus some people who just kind of know how to wield it.
Okay. Some people just know they're talented,
Well, like,
huh?
and I think this is also something that the fandom gets upset about because Ray just kind of knew how to do everything. She literally gets into the Millennium Falcon and she just knows how to run it and even Han Solo's like, that's his ship. He's like, what did you do? I bypassed the compressor. She just knows things.
She just knows things.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker, when he turns on the lightsaber for the first time, he points. He doesn't turn it on, obviously, or he'd be dead. But he points the saber side up.
Right.
How do you hit that button? You know, like he didn't know instantly. Whereas Rey, she just like, and she just knows how to do everything. So like, you know that she's so much more special, and I know people get mad about that. But
Well, you know, they say in the real world
yes.
that knowledge can be passed through the DNA, so
Mhm.
maybe something to do with that.
Yeah, because she was kind of created. She wasn't like,
Born
yeah, I mean, we don't
from,
they
you
don't
know, an egg and
yeah, that's why I say Palpatine's grandpa, because he created her, and so that's why people want her to be Rey Palpatine instead of Rey Skywalker,
okay.
because yeah.
Was it like clone stuff or just
um
they have special way to create people?
yeah, because the same with Anakin. When they ask his mother, like, who's his father, there she's just kind of like, he doesn't have a father. He has a mother, as most people do. And but yeah, and they show his mom and everything, but he doesn't have a dad. He just was.
He just was. One
He
day,
just born.
he just was here.
She birthed him.
Okay.
I don't know if that confused you more.
Yes, I'm confused. I don't know. But because your kid loved it, you got to be able to show your love for it and get into it,
Yes.
and you all became obsessed super fast.
Yes, I wasn't forced to be
And because
suppressed
you
anymore.
live near Disney
Yes.
and can go all the time, right? You're like, I am part of this world.
Yes. I like to pretend deep down inside.
And you get to meet the people at conventions
Yes.
and all of that. So you're just waiting to meet Pedro.
I have to meet Pedro one day. One day, yeah. I've met quite a few Star Wars people, and Hayden Christensen twice, which is no small. Like, that's a big deal. He's pretty up there, and of course I've met Ray Park more times than I can count.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I'm not going to know any of these people by name. I know Hayden because I watched Jumper.
Yeah, and Boba Fett, we told him, because the actor for Boba Fett and Jango Fett are the same actor. Um, and I told him, I showed him the photos of Alex when she was little with Jango Fett.
Yeah.
And he signed her helmet. We just went to take a photo with him, and he signed her helmet, and his table attendant is like, that's going to be another $200. And I was like, whoa, wait, I didn't ask for the autograph. And then he was like, their family, I signed it. And I was like, and now I'm dead. There's a video of me and Alex crying somewhere over it.
Because he called you family.
Because he called his family. And then when we were meeting Hayden the first time, we were crying our eyes out. And Hayden's so sweet. And we were the first in line for that set.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried to console Alex, which just 100% made it worse. Because then he was like, are you okay? And he tries to like comfort her. I was like, if you touch and you engage, you're going to make it worse. But like in a good way. It was, it wasn't in a bad way.
Sure.
So I just, one day, Pedro, I thought when Ewan
One
McGregor
day.
came, I was like, man, that's a big one. No, Pedro.
He's busy. He's got stuff to do.
No, he's booked and busy. One day, Pedro, one day.
All right, and then did you have a favorite character?
Well, let's see. Yes. I have two very special, like, favorite characters. Quill from the first season of The Mandalorian, which is the one I'm wearing. I've actually met Missy Rosas. What a wonderful human being. And I cosplay Quill. I'm very proud of that costume. And then, of course, hello. Grogu, he's another favorite.
Does he even talk?
Well, he coos. He goes, he makes little noises. He says, Papu. And he says little noises here and there, but he's supposed to be like a baby. You know, he's
Uh-huh.
50, but in the Yoda species,
That's baby
that's a
still.
baby. Yes, that's a baby. So he does not speak for words, although he did almost say this is the way, but
Oh.
in Baby Goo Goo Gaga, but
Oh,
he did
okay.
kind of
Did they
say
have
it.
subtitles?
No, but Mando and Bo-Katan both turn around, and look at him like, did he say what we think he just said? And he's just kind of there like, because he's so cute.
That's funny.
And then of course the Mandalorian too. Um, I think Grogu and the Mandalorian are kind of equal in my heart because they come as one in my set. They're father and son. You can't separate them.
Sure.
Grogu just is so. I know everyone says he's ugly, but he's so cute to me, and that's why I love him.
I mean, he was on par with baby Groot.
Yes, Baby Groot was
They
super cute too.
came out around the same time or
Mhm.
something. Uh, but you know, Groot's cute because he danced to Michael
Yes, he
Jackson
does
with
his little
Jackson 5.
dance.
So,
Yes, yes,
but anything baby is cute. You know, they're made that way on purpose.
yes,
So people will take care of
yes. It
it.
works for him because everybody's always taking care of it. That's actually how Quill dies.
Oh no!
He is protecting him.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it by now, like me,
I'm
you'll
sorry.
be fine.
Spoiler.
It's fine.
Yes. Yes.
Get over it. All right. Well, I don't have any more news about Star Wars. We talked about that in the last episode previously.
Yes.
Uh, new movies are coming out probably. They'll never end. It's gonna be like Jurassic Park here stuff. It's
Yes.
just gonna go on forever. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's fine because if there's fans for it, that's good. As long as they do it justice and as long as they try to do the best they can and not just dump out movies because they
Yeah.
can get the money. Like, do some justice, do a good story, and have respect for the fans, because that they're who's paying you. So
Yeah. Yeah. I believe the Mandalorian movie is coming out in 2026. Because like I said, before they have already been filming for it for quite a while.
Yeah.
They showed like a picture of Pedro as the Mandalorian in the movie, um, at the celebration
Hmm.
this year. And I mean, even though there's not any other like real movies other than The Mandalorian that's scheduled to come out, a lot of the shows that have come out recently, for Star Wars have just been like they've been produced amazingly. I mean, it, you can almost just watch that. Again, you could plot me in the middle of any of it, and I'm going to want to watch it.
Sure.
But the shows are just so good, and they're kind of like side stories. They don't always necessarily have anything to do with the movies as much.
Hmm.
I mean, it all kind of goes back to it in a way, but um like Skeleton Crew, I felt like it was kind of almost like a side story to me, but it was so well done. And
Hmm.
you would like it because you like kids. It's a kid, it is like a kid adventure movie if ever there was one, but
Sure.
it's a show. Um, like that feeling of pirates and in space for sure to me. The thing is, they're not in space long because they travel through space so fast.
Yeah.
So they do travel through space. They just whoop, and they go
Uh-huh.
so fast and they literally like they'll
And we're
pop
here.
and we're here. So, they do travel a lot through space. It's just instantaneous.
Sure.
But that one was another one. I have cosplayed Neil from that. I got to meet Robert who plays Neil in that. Um, all the kids were at MegaCon, including Jude Law. I didn't see Jude Law; he didn't come out of his little curtain. But the
Mm.
kids, they did. They even went to the 501st booth and they took pictures. Robert had his little Neil that someone made for him. It was
That's
super
cute.
cute. Because he's an elephant in the show, but he's just a real boy in real life. So
He's
I
a
guess
real boy.
in case there's people who didn't realize that he was the one who played Neil, I think that's why he was holding his little Neil doll, just so
Mm.
that people can be like, "Oh, he plays Neil.
You're you.
You're you. You're that one. You're the blue elephant." But yeah, he's another really good character.
Hmm.
Um, he's probably number 4 for me. Ray should be higher in the list because she was my gateway drug into Star Wars. Um, but it she's like number five. In the top five, she's number five.
Okay. I gotcha. All right, well, we can transition on here to what we're nerding out about right now. Have anything?
Well, Star Wars related, it's still just the Rebels costume that I'm working on. I'm going to be getting fur for this costume pretty soon. Um, we lost Joanne, so as a cosplayer, finding new
Oh,
places
yeah.
to get
Sad.
fabric and cloth and furs is hard. I know you can buy stuff online, but I'm one of those where I need to feel it.
Sure.
I need to see what the texture is. I yes, I can order a swatch, but then I have to wait for the swatch, blah blah. So I'm nerding out about that. That's probably going to be my nerd fixation for a while right now, just because this costume is a big costume.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, Mike's like he's between 6'3" and 6'4" in these costumes, so it's not even just like big in that it's difficult to do. It's big that it's a lot because
Sure.
I have to fit it for a 6'3" uh, grown man.
Right.
So so it's big in both senses. So that's my current Star Wars thing right now. It's just finishing that costume. Maybe next time I'll bring maybe one of these days I'll bring the headpiece with me once I've gotten more pieces together.
Sure. And you can record a little bit of you doing what you do and share with the peeps.
Yes, and share my work in progress.
Well, speaking of artistic things, I think probably I'll be nerding out about soon is my I got some paint by number Harry Potter
Nice.
Diagon Alley over there. So I might do that on streaming as well, and just it's easy because it's paint by number. You just put the color where the number is where it goes, and but it's always cool to see the finished picture. To be like, oh look, I didn't create it, but I made it.
It's relaxing.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's relaxing, and just to see the final product is always fun. I used to do a lot of paint by numbers, pirate ship I've done, and like the beach with palm trees and like scenes that look like Italy or Venice or something with anything with water and cool like architecture stuff. Always is cool to me. When we were in art class, I used to like to do barns and windmills and stuff. So all that stuff's fun. So that's currently what I'm nerding out
Awesome.
about. All right. Well, thank you for hanging out with us here on Nerd Talk. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment what you're nerding out about, what you love about Star Wars if you're a super fan.
And correct me for all the
Yes.
errors I probably
Tell us
made. I'm
all
so
the things
sorry.
that are wrong for sure. And then all of our other platforms and links are in the description below. Till next time.